What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the vlog. Unfortunately, this is not the best session I've ever had. I make a lot of mistakes. I kept getting a lot of premium hands like ace, king, and aces and misplaying them on different streets, losing some value, and also even losing the pot overall. So not happy with how I played. I have a lot to learn from it, and I have a lot to learn overall. I've only been playing for about a year now. In April, it'll be a year since I started playing and recording my footage and uploading it to YouTube. So appreciate everyone that's tuned in and given me feedback since then. This is just one of those sessions where it didn't go my way, but I try to be transparent and show you guys the wins and the losses. And yeah, overall, thought it was entertaining enough to post, so here it is. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys later. We pick up ace king offsuit in the big blind. I have about $320 behind. Under the gun middle position, both limp, and the small blind does as well. I raise it up to $25. Not too long after that, under the gun and middle position put in the call, and the small blind gets out of the way, so we're 3 players headed to a flop. For anyone curious, this is a 2-3 game at my local casino, Lucky Lady, and it plays more like a 2-5. I believe the max buy-in is $500, so if you enjoy having a deeper stack, you could definitely buy in for that. I like to play with 100 bigs typically, so I just buy in for 300. The flop comes out king 8-2 with 2 diamonds. We hold the ace of diamonds and we have top pair with an amazing kicker obviously, so I bet $12 into both players and they quickly fold. It looks like the king scared them off a bit and we take down a small size pot with ace king offsuit on that board. Probably could have got more value if I checked there, but we're on to the next hand, which is actually ace king offsuit again. In the button, I have about 375 behind, under the gun limps, and middle position opens to 25, so I go ahead and raise this up to $75. Action is now on under the gun and middle position, who are both pretty aggressive players, as we'll see throughout this video. During the actual hand, I don't know how loose these guys play at the time because it's close to the start of the session, so I didn't have a chance to really gauge their range and how they play, but under the gun and middle position both make the call for $75, so we're 3 players headed to a flop. It's about 225 in the middle, and it comes out ace queen king with 2 spades. This is a pretty good spot for us. We have top 2 pair, there's a lot of draws out there, under the gun checks, but middle position bets into me $120. Considering we have top 2 pair and there's a lot of draws out there, I think there's only one more thing left for us to do, and that is to put it all in. I have about 300 behind, and that's what I want to play for, so I want to charge those draws, and if he has jack 10, I have to just kind of sigh and accept that's how it goes sometimes. He puts in the call for $300. Queens are definitely a concern in my head as well here, but he probably would have raised again pre-flop if that was the case, so I'm not too worried about it. 7 of spades and 4 of spades comes out on the first board, and on the second board we have 9 of clubs and king of hearts. So we make a full house on the second board, he makes a flush on the first, he shows ace jack offsuit with the jack of spades. Unfortunately, the first board, a little unlucky for us, but it is what it is. We make about a $40 profit on that chopped pot. So this next hand's kind of interesting. We actually put on the straddle here for $5. It was my first time straddling this session because other people started doing it, so I wanted to get in on the action, and I end up picking up pocket aces. It's kind of limped over to me, and I miss a perfect opportunity to bet larger. I don't know why I only raised to 25 here. I don't know if I was just nervous because I had pocket aces on the straddle. Awful mistake, obviously. I know I should have gone higher here, but unfortunately, everyone calls me, and it's not looking good for the aces here when there's like 4 or 5 people in this pot with me. I misplayed this pre-flop, definitely. I'm sure I should have gone higher on the raise, but it is what it is. Small blind and big blind check over to me. I'm pretty happy with this flop though, so we're gonna make the most out of the situation and try to win this. So I bet $60. I'd love to get 1 or 2 callers here. Most players fold, but we do have 1 caller, and it's that aggressive player in the cutoff here, and he calls the $60. So we have a chance to make some nice profit on this hand, even though we misplayed pre-flop. The 4 of diamonds comes out on the turn. This isn't the best card for us to see, considering we're not holding a diamond, and this guy could definitely have a 4 in his range. He's that loose aggressive player I mentioned earlier, so I want to put him to the test here. I bet $110. I'm a little mad at myself in my head at this point because pre-flop I definitely misplayed. The $25 raise on the straddle with pocket aces with that many limpers was just really making me upset thinking about it over and over. So that's something I gotta work on, is my mental game during a hand. I definitely shouldn't tilt myself with past decisions, especially during a hand. Instead, I should just come back and digest them and learn from them and hopefully not make the same mistake too many times in the future. Historically, I have a pretty low win rate against men that are getting massages at the table. I'm not sure what the math is behind that. I think it's maybe a law of attraction type thing where they're just so calm and they're positive that their card just gets there on the river. But hopefully we break that streak and we don't lose against the massaged man this time. He puts in the call and we go to the river, which is a 5 of diamond. Probably the worst possible card in the deck. The flush gets there, straights get there. I don't know what could be worse than this card in the deck, truthfully. So I just check. I'm so tilted. I don't even know what we can get from this. And he shows 8-7 offsuit. Yeah. I got pretty lucky that he didn't bet here, though. I would have called most anything at this point with my aces. So I guess the diamonds and the pairing of the board kind of scared him off. But we lose about 200 bucks, and I can only blame myself that hand. Not too long after that, it's a dealer change. So we are going to a double board bomb pot PLO. I'm pretty bad at these usually. I end up losing money, but I still like to play them because they're fun and I'm trying to learn to get better at it. So we're going to go ahead and try it again. I have ace of hearts, jack, queen of diamonds, and 4 of diamonds. Pot's about $40 and I am in the big blind with about $185 behind. I typically don't like to buy in more once I lose a bit because I wait till I bust out and then I'll do like 1 or 2 more buy-ins, but I never go past that because I usually start to play a lot worse because my mental game is quite weak. So something I'm working on. This session is a good example of that, but the cutoff bet's $35. I think we have a pretty good hand here based on my understanding of this game format. We have 2 pair on the top board and then we have a straight draw on the bottom. So, the fact that all these players are calling, the button calls, the small blind calls, the pot's getting quite large. I think I have a pretty important decision here to make, and that is if I want to raise or just call. I'm thinking about it a lot right now, probably a little too long for the spot I'm in. It might just be a standard call or a fold. I don't study this too much, so I don't really know, but I go ahead and just end up making the call for $35. Considering there's a lot of draws out there, I think it's pretty likely a lot of players will continue here. The clubs on the top board for the flush and then the straight draw on the bottom, which is what we're looking for with our jack, queen of diamonds. Obviously not going to make a flush on that board on the bottom, but on the top board we still could catch 2 diamonds and make a flush there and have a pretty strong hand. Hijack calls for $35. There's about 5 of us this point headed to the turn, which comes out a 10 of diamonds on the top board and a 3 of spades on the bottom. So small blind checks over to me. We have a straight draw on the top board with ace, queen, and also a flush draw on that board. We also have 2 pair as it stands, and we have a straight draw on the bottom board as well. So I go ahead and put in the remainder of my chips here for about $150. I definitely could have bet a bit more on the flop, considering we had a pretty strong hand on the top board and a good draw on the bottom to what would effectively be the nuts. Hijack folds, which is good news for us. I'm hoping some other players fold as well. I definitely don't want to see anyone putting extra chips in because as of right now, we are all in. This is a bunch of side pot stuff happening right now. I believe there was like a pot bet and then small blind ended up jamming and the other 2 players called. So obviously at this point, I'm thinking, okay, there's no way we're good here because there's 3 players that have very strong lines and also we're on big draws. The river comes out on both boards, 9 of spades on the top, 3 of hearts on the bottom. We pretty much miss everything. We don't improve our hands much and we're beat by, I think, all 3 opponents on all boards. So I definitely misgauged where we're at. We lose about 200 bucks there. So I rebuy for about $300, and at this point I have about $280 behind. I'm in the cutoff, and I open for $15 with king, jack of spades. Small blind and big blind both call the $15, so we're going to be 3 players headed to a flop, and the pot's about $45. The flop comes out 7 ace 10 rainbow, and we have both the spades in our hand, so we have a pretty big drawing hand here. Big blind bets $65, and that's a bit over the pot size. I think there is a case to be made to maybe just fold, but I feel like we have a big draw here where I can go 1 more card and hopefully see a spade on the turn, or maybe even hit a lucky queen and come out with the best hand by the end of it. So with that being said, I go ahead and make the call for $65 and the small blind folds. We're heads up going to a turn here, which is the 7 of diamonds. Not the best card for us. If he has a 7 here, he's a lot stronger. I don't see a point to bet here. I just go ahead and check it to be cautious. And the ace of spades comes out on the river. Doesn't help us at all either. He bets $100 and there's definitely no point for me to continue. I just go ahead and fold. And it's a good thing we folded because he shows 7, 8 of hearts and he made trips. So we lose about 80 bucks on that hand. And the night's not going too well for us. I'm making a lot of mistakes, and I also think I'm not running that great either. So when we pick up pocket tens and I have about $188 behind, I go ahead and open for $15. And pretty quickly the cutoff raises to $60. And he has about $100 left behind. We are in a good spot to squeeze here, especially after the button calls his raise. We've seen these guys play a few hands throughout the night, and they tend to play pretty loose and aggressive, so I'm not too concerned with tens in this position. I figure this is the best time to get it in with all the money in the middle, and also the fact that I am relatively short stacked at this table. There's only one more thing left to do, and that's to put all the chips in, so I have about 175 left behind, and I go ahead and put them in the middle. I really hope one of the players folds so we have a higher chance of winning, but we also have a pretty good chance to triple up here, so I'm not totally opposed to going 3 ways. The cutoff does call. He has about $100 left behind. The button starts to reach for some calling chips, and he puts in the $173. So the button and I have a little bit of a side pot action going on here now. The flop comes out Jack, 9, Ace with 2 clubs. 7 of clubs comes out on the turn, and the river is a Jack of spades. This is a massive pot. It would be great to win this and get back into the game, but unfortunately both my opponents had me beat. The cutoff shows Ace Queen suited and the button shows Jack 10 suited, and we take a pretty large loss in this session, unfortunately. Hey everyone, thanks again for watching. Like I said, not the best session. I bought in for $300 and then I lost it, and I bought in for another $300 and I lost that one too. So overall down about $600 on the session. Definitely could have done a lot better in some spots, but hoping the next one's better. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.